Everyone here right now. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, analysts, and everyone joining us from across Africa and beyond. Welcome to today's webinar. It's about accelerating action and transforming public service, and it's organized by the Aig-Imoukhuede Foundation in commemoration of the International Women's Month. Yes, women are special. We have a whole month of celebration. My name is Aig-Imoukhuede, but everyone calls me Ife. I'm a certified management consultant and an IT professional by practice, and with over 17 years experience. I work as the manager and team lead at the National Data Repository of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, where I build, integrate, and manage impactful IT solutions and projects. Passionate about empowering women, I also serve in various leadership roles, which include being a member of the advisory board of the Women in Technology Nigeria, being a Wimborne Fellow, being the vice chairperson of the conference planning group for the Women in Management, Business, and Public Service WINBIS, and also a co-chair of the Women's Leadership Program of the Society of Petroleum Engineering Council. Outside of work, I'm a digital parenting advocate. I'm a champion for fostering wholesome parenting as well as digitally responsible families and work cultures. And I enjoy mentoring youths. I enjoy reading, dancing, and gardening. But most importantly for today, I'm also a member of the recently graduated cohort four of the Aig-Imoukhuede public leadership. Begin by sharing a little bit of the Aig-Imoukhuede Foundation. Aig-Imoukhuede Foundation was founded by Aig-Imoukhuede and Ofogwe Aig-Imoukhuede and is dedicated to improving the lives of Africans from public service delivery as well as access to quality primary health care. One of the foundation's core missions is developing transformational public sector leaders who can drive meaningful change across the continent. Not the country, across the continent. Today's webinar holds very special significance as we celebrate International Women's Month. The world recognizes that women's leadership in public service is a powerful catalyst for inclusive governance, for economic development, and for societal progress. However, despite our remarkable contributions, women in government continue to face barriers that include limited representation in decision-making roles, structural changes, and societal expectations that hinder our full participation. So this afternoon, we will spotlight some very, very accomplished women who are leading impactful reforms in their ministries, their departments, agencies, their countries, and their communities. Our distinguished panelists, who are also alumni of the AIG Public Leaders Program like myself, will share their leadership journeys. They will share insights on overcoming obstacles and strategies for accelerating women's representation in public service leadership. I am truly honored to moderate this panel of exceptional women leaders who are driving significant reforms in their respective areas of public service. And so, let me briefly introduce to you my four amazing panelists. I will start first with Dr. Tina Isichie. Dr. Tina is a Director of Research and Development at the Petroleum Training Institute, PTI, Ifuru, with a PhD in Environmental and Analytical Chemistry from the University of Benin. A strong advocate for circular economy and chemical safety, she's secured a U.S. State Department grant to lead a chemical security awareness workshop in Delta State. She's a fellow of the Chemical Society of Nigeria and the Institute of Chartered Chemists of Nigeria, She's also a member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, the American Chemical Society, and the Nigerian Environmental Society. Oh my goodness, I'm so awed. She was also elected as the first female chairman of the Chemical Society of Nigeria, Delta chapter from 2016 to 2019, and she's a founding member of the Triple Helix Nigeria and actively contributes to human capacity development in Africa's oil and gas industry. Welcome, Dr. Tina. It's a pleasure to have you here. Next, we have Rashidat Omoshola Umar. Rashidat is a youth development expert and leadership trainer with over 23 years in the Lagos State Civil Service. As the head of youth education, engagement at the Lagos State Ministry of Youth and Social Development, she leads impactful programs empowering young people. She's also a certified life coach, an NLP practitioner, and advocate for adolescent sex reproductive health rights. She's also an active Rotarian and volunteer. Rashida currently serves as the treasurer of the Aig-Imoukhuede Foundation Alumni Association and credits the I Public Leadership Program for shaping her professional growth and expanding her network. Welcome, Rashida. It's nice to have you on board as well. Next, I will be introducing Halima. Next I will be introducing Halima Musa Usman. Halima Musa Usman is a results-driven professional with over 20 years of experience in project and change management, digital transformation, and strategic planning. As a senior program manager and digital transformation coordinator at the Federal Inland Revenue Service, she has spearheaded initiatives to modernize processes and improve efficiency. She holds an MBA in Management Information Systems and multiple certifications including PMP, PFMP, and ProSki Change Management. Passionate about innovation in public sector, Halima has been recognized for her contributions to digital transformation and leadership development. Welcome, Halima. It's lovely to have you on board as well. And last but most definitely not the least, I want to introduce Oyebola Oyewo. Oyebola is an assistant director at the Nigerian Copyright Commission, leading the corporate affairs unit and serving as the Freedom of Information Desk officer. With over 2 decades of experience in corporate affairs and public relations, she excels in public enlightenment, social media management, event coordination, and content creation. As a distinguished member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations (NIPR), Oyebola is known for her professionalism and leadership in public service. She is also a passionate mental health advocate, a counselor, and a member of the Counseling Association of Nigeria. She is an author of the book called Mojo's Musings, a thought provoking book tackling stereotypes and mental health through heartwarming fiction. Her published research study, Social Media Impact on Mental Health of the Nigerian Youth, showcases her dedication to youth mental health. Welcome, Oyebola. It's nice to have you on board. Now, before I formally go into this and let my guests to just say a brief hello to everyone, I want to recognize the fact that these four amazing women have such diverse skills. I'm sure it's not something you would expect to see when you hear a typical public service or civil servant. But this is the face of the new public service in Nigeria. We're diversified, we're excellent, and we strive for excellence in everything that we do. So welcome, Dr. Tina, welcome, Rashida, welcome, Halima, and welcome, Oyebola. It's nice to have you all on board. Could I just hear from you all for 1 minute? Just say hi to everyone and then we'll continue. Thank you. Okay, so Dr. Tina. It might seem like your microphone is muted. Okay, while we wait for, yeah,
I'm muted. That's why I couldn't talk.
okay. Nice to have you, Dr. Tina. Just
Hello?
Hello to
Thank you very
everyone.
much. It's an honor to be here. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. Good evening, and good evening to our audience out there from across the globe.
Thank you, Dr. Tina. Rashida, say hello to everyone, please.
And good evening, everyone. It's a great honor and privilege to be on this Rebroadcast this evening. And good evening to everybody joining us from across the globe.
Nice to have you here. Halima, please can you say hello?
Hello, Ife. Good evening, everyone. Nice to have everyone joining from all over the globe. Thank you.
Okay, our last panelist is Oyebola. I know she's joining in shortly. She's actually in transit. I hope she'll be able to join us before we get to her own time to respond. But in the meantime, because we honor everyone's time, we will go right into it. And when we get to her question, we'll see how we'll deal with it from there. So today, like we mentioned earlier, we're going to be spotlighting these accomplished women who are leading impactful reforms across their different government agencies. Our distinguished panelists will talk about their leadership journeys, they will talk about the insights on overcoming obstacles and the strategies for accelerating women's representation in public service. And so, my questions, I'm going to start with the first round of questions, and the questions will go in this order. It will first go to Tina, and then Halima, and then Rashida, and then Oyebola. So, briefly, let me just give an introduction and then we'll ask the questions. Over the years, we've seen remarkable results when women take on high responsibility roles in public service, as exemplified by leaders such as Ngozi, sorry about that, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and Dora Akunyili, who have transformed their industries when they spearheaded those industries. However, as women ascend to leadership ladders, right, the number of women diminishes. In fact, according to the United Nations Development Programme report, women hold only about 22%, that is one in five, of cabinet positions across Africa. Given the unique perspectives and strengths that women bring, it is definitely crucial that we inspire more women to take on these challenges. And so, Dr. Tina, my question goes to you. What specific cultural and institutional barriers do you believe hinder women from reaching top positions, and how can these be addressed?
Once again, good evening, everyone. And I've been introduced. We're talking about cultural barriers and institutional barriers. In no particular order, I will say we have quite a few of them that are militating against women getting to top leadership positions. Now, let's look at some cultural ones or cultural barriers. Many times, women who are seen to be quite ambitious, they expect women to place family over career. And when a woman is seen to be advancing or pushing forward in her career, the society sometimes terms such women as being ambitious. Meanwhile, this is acceptable if it is coming from the male folk. So that's one barrier that women may have. And sometimes, consciously or unconsciously, it has made some women to kind of shrink back because they don't want to be seen as preferring their careers, over their families. Another one is that some leadership roles has been kind of zoomed. They feel that women will not be able to take on such positions because of our agenda. And the examples that were given to us in the introduction about Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and Dora. Dora was one person that was quite passionate when she was given that job at NAFDAC. Sometimes women are seen when they are passionate about their jobs as being emotional, but that is not quite true. The passion they bring on board many times is what helps them to achieve the results that they achieve. Then the other aspect is male-dominated leadership circles. It's not uncommon, for instance, to find out that men after work will go to clubs, and part of the discussions they have in those clubs, some will go to play golf and some other things. Some of these places they go to are male dominated. And in those circles, they discuss leadership issues. They discuss who is going to be the next person, who is going to occupy those positions, and all that, and network among themselves. Some of those leadership circles are exclusive to men because a woman is, after work, you have issues to deal with at home. Some, their faith takes them to go from immediately after work, maybe to church and things like that. So we have these male dominated circles where such issues are being discussed, and women many times are not there. Even for a woman that is married, for instance, if she is seen in those kind of circles, it may be perceived as being promiscuous. And even for the ones that are not interested in her family, while for the single woman, that may be taken as if she's being promiscuous. And what can we do to address some of these issues? I would say the first thing to do is to be intentional in our recruitment processes. If we look at the civil service, for instance, you find out that people grow, over the years. So if from the first instance when you are recruiting, you don't put gender inclusiveness into it, or perhaps you employ women who are junior staff, cleaners, and things like that. What you are indirectly saying, when opportunities come for leaders to emerge, you have from the onset excluded women because they will not be available to compete for those positions even at such time. So those are some of the things that we can do. And then secondly, some of these biases, that we have against women, consciously or unconsciously, as we do programs like this, we hope that some of these biases will be dealt with because the women are our sisters, they're our wives, they're our daughters, and all that. And if we desire their good, if you desire the good of your daughter, for instance, then you should desire the good of that woman that is working within the office and not be opinionated against her just because of her sex. The other aspect is for the reproductive women. When a woman is pregnant or when she has younger children, for instance, out of a feeling of compassion, they may not want to put her on some projects. But I want to feel that should be left for the woman to decide, by herself. Don't feel that you're feeling sorry for her because she's pregnant, feeling sorry for her because she has young children, and you exclude her from projects that will, down the line, if she had participated in, affect her career growth. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much for those insightful contributions. There are so many biases for and against women in the workforce in general and specifically in the public service. And what Dr. Tina has advised is that right from the onset, when we're employing, let's employ a lot more professional, capable, technical women into these roles so that as they grow and as leadership positions open up, we have people who are ready to step into these positions. She also advised that we have more enlightenment programs like this so that we're able to, educate people about these biases and let them see them not as biases, but as just human nature and things that they can work, to overcome. And finally, she talked about the reproductive years of women. When women are in their reproductive years, don't assume that they're not unable to do certain jobs or able to take up certain roles. Instead, let the woman take the decision for herself. After all, she took the job and she knew she was going to have children while she had the job. So why not let her take that decision? Thank you so much for these valuable insights, Dr. Tina. Now I'm going to Halima. Halima, what meaningful policy changes have you seen that actually transform institutional cultures to welcome women leaders in your own ministry?
Okay, so I'll say, in many African countries, including Nigeria, there has been a gradual but significant shift towards the policies that support women in leadership, particularly in the public service. For me, the first one would be the affirmative action and gender quota, which is the 35% national from the national gender policy. Um, Even though it has been slow for implementation, but it is a strong foundation. And while I was doing some research last year in my organization, I found out that we are actually 49% each, male and female. So it's just a point system that we're ahead. And I think we might have more women than men in my organization. There's also the gender mainstreaming in public service, whereby in some MDAs, we've institutionalized gender mainstreaming policies which ensure women are actively involved in the decision making process. And so you're creating an environment where we're not just being there, but we're heard and we're part of the decision making process. Thirdly, for me, the anti discriminatory and workplace harassment policies. As you're well aware, most all MDAs have been required to have a gender desk. So institutionalizing this policy is taking place, and also women are being protected from workplace harassment, discrimination, and also encouraged to speak up without fear or prejudice towards their roles. I feel that while progress has been made, there's still much to be done to embed these changes into institutional culture. Real transformation occurs when both policy and attitudes evolve to bring in these situations and also foster these environments where women leaders are respected and valued. So for me, those are, I think, the three key policies that have made an impact for me, and also my organization is towing the line for these. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you. Just for, in case anyone is trying to remember where she works in FIRS. As a young lady looking for where to work, where you know you will be champion. FIRS is doing a great job. I am
Yes.
so impressed that they have
Yeah.
49% women
Yeah.
leaders.
It's about, I think it's 49.6 and 49.4. So at the
Oh my,
last time I checked, which was last year, we were more.
wow, that is impressive. And in such a technical environment like the FIRS, where you
Mm,
need to have expertise, to know
mm,
that women leaders are being championed is very, very inspiring. And so, for those of us who feel maybe in our workplaces the women are not seen, if you work in certain male-dominated environments where it's typically been the men and women are just coming up, hang in there, advocate, fight, you will see that we can actually have workforces where you have, if not 50-50, very close to 50-50. So thank you so much, Halima, for that insightful response and for giving us a dose of inspiration. Thank you. Rashida, next. Um, so how can we balance the need for representation with avoiding tokenism? How do we ensure that our women leader positions are genuine decision making, positions, not just filling a quota or filling a gap? So, what do you think? How do we do that? Oh, you're muted. Sorry,
Workplace
sorry,
as
Rashida,
well.
you're muted.
Oh, oh, all right. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
All right. I said balanced representation requires intentionality on the part of the organization. But riding on what Alima said, also at my workplace, we have more female leaders in as head of department, head of unit, more than the male. In fact, we had a retreat recently, and the male stylishly protested this. That's why we have more female in leader. Probably because I work in the social sector, and more female are in social sector than male. However, balancing representation requires intentionality and structural changes, as well as commitment from the organization. Dr. Tina has said it from the recruitment process. Efforts should be made to have gender balance so that we have equal number of male and female rising at the same time. So it's not as at the point where you want to select leaders that you are now struggling with not having any female at all. So it starts basically from the recruitment process. The organization must use merit-based approach to recruit, to promote, and to assign tasks. Also, women should be willing to take on challenges without saying that I am pregnant, I am a nursing mother. They should also be ready to put in as much work hard as their male counterparts. Even they should be able to balance their life and career when they are raising children. Also, we should embark on self-development journey so we are well equipped and empowered to take on this leadership role when it's thrust at us. A lot of us are also not ready. We're just looking at that gender allocation. we're just complaining, we're not walking the talk. We should also walk the talk. We should take up challenges and we should be willing to work as much as our male counterparts while the organization is working genuinely to balance representation.
Thank you
Yes,
so much. I love the angle you brought from
hello,
here. It's
she.
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes. So thank you
yes.
so much.
The
I love.
organization should also ensure that
Mhm. Go ahead, please.
the organization should also ensure that the suggestions and recommendations from women or from women leaders are translated into actions and not just put under the table. That will
Mm,
motivate and encourage us to contribute more to policy
mm.
and decision making. We must have a seat at all tables. If they don't give us, we should bring our seats, we should take the challenges and make sure that our voices are heard and our decisions are translated to action. Yes, right.
I love this action point. This is no longer just give me a seat at the table. Oh, let's do the numbers. Rashidat is saying we need to walk the talk. If the men are working hard, you women, we need to work hard. I'm a mom of four. My first child was born 10 days before I started work at public service, and I went on to have three additional children. It did not stop me from delivering on my job. I just had to make sure that I had adequate support systems. I needed to make sure that, you know, we were able to be present. And I was able to receive different recognitions in different capacities, in spite of the fact that I was having, my children, and they were all very young children. So yes, I agree with you fully. We women need to step up. We need to let the men know that we can do this job. And yes, we may have different challenges, but we are able to meet up with those challenges. That ensures our organizations, it gives the organizations the confidence to know that when these women are put in leadership positions, they are able to do the job, they are able to perform, they're able to represent the organization at its very best. And in the other turn, the organizations need to also ensure that when the women take up certain roles and they give suggestions, then those suggestions should be taken seriously and adopted. This encourages the women to speak up more. But the one I love the most is when you said, if they don't invite you to the table, bring your own seat and sit at that table. And I love that. Women, it's time to accelerate action. So if you've been calm before, this is the time to do what you need to do. Gracefully, though, because you're a woman, with professionalism and efficiency. So I don't have Oyebola here right now. I can't seem to see her on the screen. I guess she's experiencing some technical difficulties. So we will skip her question for now. But I want to take a short break. If she comes up later, I will, have her question. I think she's coming. Yes, I think she's coming. So just give me a second. Let's see if we can get her on board. Oyebola, can you hear us? Oh no. Okay, so while we're doing that, let me inform the.
You need to be sure she's not muted.
Yes, yes, I'm trying to get that. While we're waiting to see if she can come on board, let me let the audience know that you can actually send in your questions now. Just type them in the chat box. We will take note of them. And when we finish the next round of questions, we're going to questions from the audience. Okay. Okay. Technical crew. Can we hear from Oyebola? Is she muted? Is she available? Just send me a message so that I know if we can proceed. Yeah, I can see her there, but I think she's having some audio challenges. Okay, while we wait for her, like I said before, I will send her I will get to her once she's up. I want to start the next round of questions, and this time, Dr. Tina will go first again, then Halima, then Rashida, and then Uyebola. Hopefully, by that time, she'll be able to take on her two questions. So, my dear panelists, are you ready to go again? Yes. Okay. So, Dr. Smith,
Yes, we are.
great,
Yes.
great, great, great.
Yes.
Great.
All right. Thank you for that question. And talking about support system, for me, and indeed for any woman out there who aspires into leadership role, the first one comes from the family. Because if you don't have support from your immediate family, it's going to be very difficult, to aspire to whatever leadership positions you're talking about. I will say I'm lucky because over the years throughout my career, I've had a very supportive husband, and my children, as they grew up, also had to learn that this is who I am as far as work is concerned. And as they grew, they also offered their own support, one way, or the other, okay, to make sure that everything is well, while I'm working. Then the other support system, that we can have comes from professional groups. Like you said, I belong to quite a lot of them. I found out that from my professional groups, the Chemical Society of Nigeria, the SP, and some of the other ones that were mentioned, I've not mentioned, offered me a lot of support, in my career. I remember while I was doing my PhD, it was some of those professional groups, the members there, who linked me up with laboratories where my analytical work was done and all that. Then beyond the ones that are not gender-based, there are also the ones from gender-based professional groups. Like we have the women in chemistry, we have the women in energy, oil and gas, and then we have the women in management, just a few of them. And those ones that are gender-based, one of the things they did is that when we come together for for conferences, they carve a group out for those of us that are women and then teach us a lot, and we interact a lot about how to balance our roles, both as family women, as workers, as managers, and things like that. And people can share their experiences that the younger generation, can learn from. The other thing that worked for me was the issue of mentorship. I had people to look up to. And talking about mentorship, it wasn't just from the female folks alone. I had mentors who were also males and who believed in me and helped me, in terms of advancing forward. Now, what can we do to replicate this in the public service? The first one I would say is that women in our different MDAs, we can come together. It doesn't have to be professional groups alone. We can come together to see how we can mentor the younger ones that are coming up, and then see how we can share our own journey, with them, to see how this can help them. Now, another thing we can do is in the area of training. And I will say that the AIG program has helped me I was a part of the second cohort. And I remember it was recommended to me, then somebody said, the way you're growing in your career, I think some of the lessons from here, will help you. And they have really helped. One of the reforms I brought out in my workplace was this issue of using technology, to be able to do things better and more efficiently. And that I got, from the training that one had, at the AIG PLP program. So training also helps, in making this, work for us. And while we have gender-based ones, we also have the ones that are not gender-based, because like I usually tell people, the brain is not gender-based. And if we as women, I'm one of the women that in school, you topped your class, you led groups and all that. So if we did that in school, while the male folks were there with us, then it therefore means that if it comes to leadership, those of us who led discussions while we were students, those of us who topped our classes, while we were students, there's no reason why we can't be in leadership positions, and be able to deliver at such time. So we need support group. We need support group from the family, most importantly. We need support group from our institutions, where we're working. We need from our professional groups. And professional groups can be male, non-gender based, and it can also be gender based. Most importantly, women should learn to take younger women under their wings, both to mentor them and then to sponsor. In today's career, you don't just need only a mentor, you also need a sponsor. There has to be somebody who will speak up when they want somebody for this role to say, I believe in her and I believe that she can deliver if she's given a try, a go at it. So we need both mentors and we also need sponsors at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such a very robust response. So taking right from the home front all the way to global, and I do love how you handled all of this. First of all, without support from the home, you're not going to be balanced enough to be able to keep pushing and keep fighting to make the marks. And then from your institutions, as women, we should support each other. We should mentor other women. Because you had a tough time rising through the ranks does not mean that those after you should have a tough time. How about you help them know what not to do so that they don't go through what you went through? And then at professional bodies at our industry level, join those bodies. The network is great, the visibility is great, the learning is great, and this is technical and non-technical, personal and non-personal learning, teachings. Join those bodies, they will enrich you, and also from the trainings. But most of all, I love how she said we need mentors and sponsors. Dear women in women leaders, who are you mentoring? Who have you sponsored? Who have you said, I will vouch for this person because I know that this person can do the job? Please, we need to help each other. We need to also remember that mentoring is not just top down, there's also reverse mentoring. A lot of people say, oh, the Gen Z, oh, they come with so much drama. How about we sit down and learn from them in a reverse mentoring capacity? Let's be more youthful. Perhaps we might find that they are not as trained as we think they are. They just happen to think outside the box, and a lot of us can do with doing that. Thank you. Now we go to Halima. What would you say to women who are currently in public service but may not yet recognize their potential to effect transformative change? They think that, oh, it's here, they are not giving me opportunity, I just take directive. How can they discover and utilize their leadership capabilities? Thank you, Halima. Next.
Okay, that's a very insightful question, Upi. I would say to women currently in public service who may not yet recognize their potential to effect transformative change to start where you are. Leadership is not about holding titles, it's about making a difference wherever you are, taking initiative, offering solutions, and inspiring those around you. When you demonstrate leadership through action, recognition, and opportunities naturally will follow. Acknowledge your impact. Oftentimes, women in public service underestimate the significance of their roles. Whether you're in a junior or senior position, your work contributes into shaping policies and delivering service to society that impacts life. Start recognizing your value and your contributions and also your achievements because nobody is going to blow your own trumpet but yourself. Find mentors and role models. So I'll come from where Dr. Tina said. So find those mentors and role models. Sometimes the mentors find you, but then again, you have to find the mentors. I'll give you an example. By profession, I'm a project manager. While I started that profession, most of the time, people in leadership roles or people ahead of me that I saw were all men. I come to my organization that I am for the first time in my life. I see a program manager who is a head of function and she's a woman. And I thought, wow, I want to be like her. I want to be her. So find those mentors, they share their experiences, they provide guidance as well. Because someone, whatever you're doing, someone has done it before. Even if they haven't done it before, somebody might have an experience similar to that. So this will help you unlock your potential. Embrace continuous learning. I can't stress that enough. Sometimes you have to invest in yourself. You can't say, I'm waiting for my organization to send me on training or whatever. You must actively seek out those personal and professional developments that you want to attend to. For example, I chose the Aig-Imoukhuede PLP course. and it has sharpened my leadership skills and shown me things that, evolutionized things that I'm doing in the office as well. So, I would say to this that you are capable, you are more than what you think. Your voice matters, your ideas matter, your commitment to public service matters, and most importantly, you are not doing it just for yourself, but you're also doing it to the communities that you serve. So you must look at yourself. You must have that introspect before you can now bring it out. So that confidence also matters. So sometimes, and then patience, you have to be patient, but in the end, your hard work will show for itself. Thanks.
I love it. Thank you so much. Aren't my ladies amazing? Please let me see some reactions in the chat box. Just listen to how, robustly she's responded to this. You see that you not just only have to see, first of all, I love how she said leadership is not just about titles, and that's the truth. I see that many people wait for, oh, when it's my turn, when I get there. How about you start from wherever you are? Be a leader from the bottom, be a leader from that position you are. And for you to be a good leader, you need to seek continuous learning, whether it's through your organization, whether it's out of your own pocket. How much do we invest? How much of our budget do we invest in self development? How intentional are we about making time and investing our own monies on self development? We're not investing in self development for our organization. Whatever skill sets you learn are for yourself. And like one coach, one facilitator told me years back, your active years in service could be seen as practice for your years in retirement because 60 is now like the new 40. Many retirees are active, healthy, strong, are still willing to give back. And you find that those who are able to give back meaningfully, productively, are those who have honed their skills all through their service years. So, dear young woman, don't be dissuaded. Just keep doing what you're doing. Acknowledge what you're doing. Acknowledge the achievements you've made. And don't worry, your turn will come. Okay, I see Oyebola is back again. I'm going to try to see if we can hear from her. Oyebola, can we hear from you? If you can just
Yeah,
say something. I love it. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Glad to have you here. I'm
hello.
so sorry for all the
Thank
technical
you for having me. Yeah, I
challenges.
apologize as well for network connectivity, and of course, I had an event earlier, so I couldn't make it home before the event started. So I'm in some garden, so my video has to be off. I apologize for all of that inconvenience.
Oh,
Thank you.
wow. This is the kind of commitment we're talking about here. She's out, she couldn't make it on time, but she adapted just so that she can contribute to this conversation. That is what we call dedication. Thank you, Yubola.
Thank
So I'm going to ask you the first question I should have asked you first. And then after that, I will ask you the second question. And the first question is there is a trend called the pipeline problem when many talented women in civil service mid-career. What do you think causes this, and what retention strategies have worked in your own organization?
Oh, sorry, please, can you take that again? I didn't hear you properly.
So there's a trend called pipeline problem
Okay.
when many talented women leave mid-career. What do you think causes this, and what strategies have worked to retain them in your own organization?
Okay. Um, I didn't get the question, but I'll so if you can run through it again, it's breezy here. So please take it again. I'm sorry. Uh, hello.
Okay, so yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, so please take the question.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
So there's something called the pipeline problem where talented women leave their career in the middle instead of going on to the top.
Okay. Okay.
What do you think causes this? And what retention strategies has worked in your own organization?
Let me start with a documentary I saw recently. So I can't. It's a movie about to be made. So there is this lady who has been part of a political party for like over 2 decades, and at some point she made her intention to run for the presidency. And the chairman of the party says to her that, oh, how could you even think of it? We just managed to give you a role, and then you want to be president. And then, it went, and when I saw that, it's something in me, I was angry. I was angry because whether we like it or not, society tends to want to fix women in certain boxes. Yeah, so don't dream beyond this point. Yeah, you can still have a career, yeah, but don't dream beyond this point. And I think that has contributed a lot in how women and in not empowering women to dream beyond certain goals. So you find them, like they say in Nigeria, is in the pipeline. You just want to stop in the pipeline. When every woman has something in her to give. Women come with some unique feminine qualities that can bring impact to the service. But because of cultural, social expectation and culture, we are limited. So for me personally, thankfully, I was raised in a home where we were not trained in the traditional African way. My mother trained me to believe in myself. She trained me. She trained my brother also to see me as social expectation and culture. We are limited. So for me, social expectation and culture, we are limited. So for me personally, thankfully, I was raised in a home where we were not trained in the traditional African way. My mother trained me food is good, but in Nigeria, it's not practicable. So I think for me, I participated in the AIGPLP. It reminded me that I wasn't alone, and that there are others like me in the public service who are driving meaningful changes. And I think the AIGPLP also equipped me with some of the capacity to make meaningful changes, subtly and yes, subtly. And then to make changes, to lead people. There was the course that we did to lead people without making them know that they are leading you. Because really, what's a leader? A leader is your leadership ability is the capacity to influence people, either directly or indirectly. So for me personally, I haven't had the opportunity of having many female mentors in the service. But for me, I have been intentionally trying to raise boys behind me, trying to teach the people I'm leading how to make things happen as a woman, how not to limit yourself, how not to let men put you in a certain place and say you cannot go beyond this point. For me, that's what I have done personally. And thanks to the IDPLC program, it has made me it has increased my confidence in leading as a woman. Yeah, thank you.
I love that. Thank you so much for that response. So, dear women, for those who are considering leaving mid-career, perhaps it's time to have a rethink. Perhaps it's time to sit down and ask yourself, what are those things that are limiting me? Why can't I push beyond those barriers? That is not to say that you cannot leave, but think about it very well. Think of what is at stake, and is it truly the only option? And like Oyebola said, the AIGP Public Leaders Program really reinvigorates one. I know I can say from my own personal experience that it really inspired me to remember all the reasons why I came into public service. So perhaps that might be a good point to start if you're at mid-career or even at, not so early career. You need to have minimum of 7 years of work experience. So once you've bagged in those 7 years, how about you go in there, pick up those skills, and use that to inspire you to move on to the next level. And for those who have daughters at home, like Oyebola clearly said, she was raised in a home where she was empowered to think as an equal to her siblings, her male siblings. Mothers, the role is up to us to raise young women who are strong, who have confidence, and to raise young men who do not see women as competition, but as teammates, as people who they can champion, and so that we can have a more progressive society. This is not about male versus female. This is about championing everyone so that the world at large wins. Thank you so much, Ebola. And so my last question again goes to you. And we need to look at the fact that when we look at the current statistics of female representation across Africa,
Yeah.
when we look at the representation at leadership level, I mean, we said it's 22% in Africa. it is clear that we women need to push for more. We are definitely more than 50% of the population, and yet we have just 22% representation at leadership levels. What do you think we can do to accelerate action in the next 5 years to make meaningful progress towards that target of at least 50% representation?
Okay, to accelerate action for me, I think it's very important that for those of us who have already come to a certain level, we need to begin to challenge. I don't mean aggressively, but we need to learn to diplomatically challenge and change harmful social and gender norms through education, awareness campaigns, and community engagement. And for me, that awareness starts from the home front, like you have mentioned earlier. Mothers, particularly, we must be intentional about our parenting style. I remember that I happened to be a teacher in a teenage church, and some of the girls come to report to me how the mothers say to the boys, "Oh yeah, go and read the girls. Join me in the kitchen. Let us do homework." That's where it starts from. That's where we start from. That's where we help the boys to build entitlement mentality, and that's where we set up the girls for second class citizenship. Look, when we look at indigent homes also, when then they are trying to prioritize who should go to school, they say because she's a girl and she's going to end up bearing another man's name, they say, okay, let your brothers go to school. I think women need to find ways. We need to stand up for some of these things and speak up for not just for ourselves, but for generation of women to come. I think also we need to begin to insist there is a 35% affirmative action for women. Is it really being implemented? Women in leadership need to begin to speak up. It needs to go beyond being a policy statement to proper implementation. Sometimes they say that the enemy of the woman is a woman. We need to change those narratives that seems to make it look like women are jealous of themselves. They want to push other women down. And then, of course, we need to provide women with mentorship and networking opportunities because we are already there as leaders. We need to be intentional about creating followers. Somebody said that leadership without followership is you're not when you're leading and you don't have followers behind you. You're taking a walk. You're not leading anybody. If you are leading and nobody is following you, if you are leading and you cannot look behind and say these are the people I've mentored, you are not yet a leader. So we need to be intentional about our leadership role. And then, of course, we should also learn to address violence against women, including gender-based violence. When women are being stigmatized, we shouldn't be the first to say, "Oh no, it's because she's a chief person. That is why it was easy for her." We need to create the atmosphere and the environment that enables women participation in public policy. So I just that's one of the things I think we need to do as women to empower more women in leadership.
Yeah, thank you so much. You really just, got it from all the angles, from the home front, from the policy making angle, from the workplace. In the next few years, women need to be very focused on, improving those numbers. For me, I'd
Yeah.
even say that the organizations need to be compelled to give their leadership statistics regularly. Like the famous saying goes, you cannot improve what you don't measure. So let the
Mhm.
organizations be compelled to begin to give their, numbers, publicize them, so that by the time you know that you're doing 10%, for example, at leadership level, then you know you have a long way to go and you need to take affirmative action. Thank you so much, Oyebola. So I grouped your two questions together because I didn't want to miss you next. And my final question goes to Rashida. Research shows that qualified women often hesitate to apply for leadership positions. What advice do you have for such women who may be battling with imposter syndrome?
All right, thank you. Imposter syndrome is something that is very significant barrier to women aspiring for leadership positions. Let me quickly give you an example, a personal example. Then I want to answer that will also answer one of the questions raised in the chat box. The current leadership program that I'm running in the ministry, one of the leadership programs I'm running in the ministry, I've been running it for the past 6 years. When the commissioner came with the idea, He called all of us together. Then I was on level 13. Level 13. And he called about six of us with the head of the department and some people. Just the idea. The first thing, we went back to the department to discuss. Majority are like, we should get a consultant. I was the only one that said, no, we don't need a consultant. Why are we employees if we need a consultant for a youth development program? And the director said, will you be able to say this in front of the commissioner? And I said, yes. When we went back to her, I said, we can do this. Said, are you sure? I said, yes. He said, how am I doing? I said, I'll put together a team and then we'll work on making it work. I don't have the competence. I love the idea that she has brought. And I went back to read, meet with my mentor, consult with people in public service and in private sector who has been doing something like that. And to the glory of God, this is the sixth year we've been running the program. It's gained a lot of attention in the States. We've gone to overseas trip for 2 years. This year we're going to Canada again with the youth leaders. We've been able to attract the governor's attention because I took up that challenge. Because they were not even willing to create a table for us in the first instance. I was willing to take it on and I changed my mindset. I look for opportunities, I read, I consult with people, and I was able to develop it more. People were also happy. We've changed commissioner over time. Where everybody who has come to the ministry always love the program. They always want to continue with it because I've been intentional about it. Yes, imposter syndrome. We women need to change our mindset. We cannot re-emphasize it. All the speakers have been saying it. We need to go on a self-development journey. We need to step out of our comfort zone. And we should not wait for people to hand over titles to us or positions to us. We should earn it. We should earn such position. We should lead authentically. We should lead with the passion that is synonymous with women. We should define our purpose, and we should know that um, competence is not about knowing everything, but about being able to apply whatever you know, being able to apply it, being able to learn and unlearn, and being able to say that I don't know this thing. Let me learn more about it. Whenever we think that we are able, we qualified for a position, maybe just halfway or 70%, we should apply for it. We should not wait for our male folk to look at us with pity and say that, okay, let's give it to her. We should come out of our shell. We should take on leadership roles willingly and give it all what it takes, like I mentioned earlier. We should bring our unique perspective to issues. We should leverage on our strengths. We should look at our weaknesses and improve upon it and look at our leadership style that will suit a lot of people. Alima has said that we should mentor people. Let us learn to mentor fellow women. Let us not think, let us always tell people that if we look at the sky and we look at the heart, if the heart can contain us, then the sky too can take all of us. So we should learn to also and help somebody to rise as long as we are rising. So for me, imposter syndrome should be something that with our change in mindset, we can actually overcome it. And with strategic action, we can overcome this and be at par with our males who are in leadership positions. For us in Lagos State, we have a lot of females in leadership positions. And it's not really a problem for us in Lagos State Civil Service. A lot of us, a lot of permanent secretaries are female. Only few of them are male. Yes. So it's a thriving ground for females to learn and to grow in whatever they set their mind on doing.
Thank you so much, Rashida. So, yes, the numbers may say that they are very few, but I want to believe that those numbers are rising. Just like we're seeing in the banking sector, women are stepping up to the plate to take up these leadership roles. And so we are here to encourage the younger ones. Step up too. Even when you see an opportunity, don't hesitate to step up. When you think that, I think the ability, the confidence to step up to leadership roles comes in two places. The first thing is to have that mental thought that I belong here and I can do that. And then the second thing is from a saying which I've learned in the last few years: competence brings confidence. Go and train, retrain, learn, unlearn, relearn, be current, be adaptable, so that when the opportunities come, you have the confidence because you know you are competent to do the role. Thank you so much, my dear panelists. You guys have done wonderful. You ladies have done justice to this panel. Now, I want to open the floor to the audience. For about 15 minutes, we're going to take questions. I know we've seen a few questions here, and I will talk about, and I will talk while I'm waiting for questions to show up in the chat box or for people to raise their hands. I will address the question about the Aig-Imoukhuede Public Leaders Program. Yes, all of us, all five of us, are alumni of that program. I graduated from the fourth cohort, the most recent cohort, a few weeks ago. And we have members from cohort 1, 2, and I believe 4, and 3 here. For those who are interested in joining cohort 5, the applications are open right now, and I'm just going to post the in the chat box the link to the website. Okay, for some funny reason I can't seem to chat, but I would say just go to Aig-Imoukhuede Foundation. I will see if I can get someone to put that in the chat box. The Aig-Imoukhuede Foundation, and search for Public Leaders Program. Now, to be able to participate in that program, you need to have worked at least 7 years. You need to be under 50 years. For those above 50, there's also the Directors Program, so that you can, for the more senior management cadre. It is absolutely free, but there is a rigorous application system. Do not think that because we said it's a rigorous application system, therefore you don't qualify. Attempt it. I know that for some who have attempted and couldn't make it, they attempted it the second time and they did make it into the system, into the platform. That application system will test you, and it would even make you realize where you need to step up if you're not able to. But I will tell you something. This program is one that I personally believe that every civil and public servant in any country in Africa should be a part of. It is transformational. It would inspire you. It has practical learning concepts. You will enrich your network. My cohort consisted of 70 people. So now I know about, I think I only knew about 3 or 4 people in that cohort before entering. But now I have access to 7. Well, we ended up being 68 at graduation point due to certain exigencies. So now I have 67 alumni, fellow alumni who are in my cohort, who are just a phone call away, they're just a message away. We can share mindsets, we can go on each other's journeys together, and we are now bonded forever. So if you want to have that kind of experience, both in learning and in enriching your network, I say go to the Aig-Imoukhuede You can even just Google it. And when you get on that page, look for Public Leaders Program, and you'll be glad you did. Say thank you to me whenever you do that. Now, for those who ask questions, while we're waiting for more questions in the panel, I will read 1 or 2 of the questions. Rashida, I know you said something when you mentioned that if they don't invite you to the table, bring your seat to the table. And someone has asked in the chat box, what are the practical ways that we can, in quotes, bring our seat to the table? Rashida, over to you.
All right. Like I said, that I take on a challenge willingly in the department. And this is something that our position do very well. We should, uh, we should be active in with whatever role we find ourselves at our place of work. We should contribute meaningfully. We should be diligent. We should be loyal. It's not one day that you find yourself at the table. But when they are discussing, when we have departmental meeting, when we have management meeting, and all we do at the meeting is to sit down there and be looking at our phone because we were not called. Even if you are not called and you think you have an idea, you can just raise up your hand and say something, and people will notice you. You cannot keep quiet and you expect people to know what you have in your mind, or yet you expect people to have that quality that you have in you. It's not like a table like that that you bring a chair to, but it's by showing up all the time that you have the competence and the confidence to do whatever task. You are part of a team and you are just a team member, just waiting for doing the basic thing. Doing the basic thing. You should be able to go out of your way. For instance, when I newly joined civil service, that was when they were automating civil service. I go out of my way. I went out of my way to learn how to use computers. I went out of my way. I paid for the session. So by the time they come to my department, I was not even part of those people they trained because I already know it in my because I know I'm going to be needing it to work. So it's showing that you have that competence. It's showing you have competence that you can do it. Then you don't even need to create your own chair. I'm sure somebody will gradually start creating a space for you at the table to come and talk. It's a gradual process. It's not something that is done at once. And Dr. Tina also has something to say about this. Let me yield the floor to her so that she can contribute to this question. Dr. Tina.
Thank you, thank you, Rashida. Dr. Tina, please go ahead. Okay, I can't seem to hear from her. Dr. Tina, I think you're muted. Dr. Tina, you're muted. Comms team, please, can you help unmute her? Maybe she's having challenges with being unmuted. We can't hear you. Can you hear us now? Are you okay?
I can hear you, but
No, you are now. We can hear you now. Thank you.
Oh, you can hear me now. Okay. All right. Talking about bringing your chair to the table, I just want to illustrate with one example. During the COVID years, the academic institutions in the country were taken by surprise when students had to be asked to go home and there was no learning. Now, one of the things I did during those times was listening to the news. I found out how the private universities and institutions were able to continue with their academic activities during the COVID period, even though they were at home. And I wasn't a director at that time. Those of us who were in public institutions had challenges with that because we had not yet embraced technology and we didn't see that coming. But for the period we were at home, I followed up the story on how to deliver your content and all that virtually, online learning and all that. And by the time we reconvened and we were having a meeting and issues were raised to say, this is what is going on now, what can we do? By the time I presented all the statistics and how it can be done and all that, unanimously at that meeting, they agreed that I should be the one to coordinate e-learning activities for the institute. So what that meant was that I brought my seat by myself to the table, by the things, by the investigations, by the statistics, by the information and all that I did on a personal note, not that anybody asked me to do that. And I took it a step further by telling them that I'd engaged with my students while the COVID was going on Google Classroom, and I gave them statistics of what we had done, how I gave assignments and all. So that's part of what it takes, to bring yourself to the table. So I became a reference point, in the institute when you were talking about
I
e-learning.
love it.
Thank you.
I love it. Dr. Tina, while we still have you, let me ask you another question because I know you work in a somewhat male dominated environment. So, Dr. Anissa Marin asked a question. What do you think about the struggles women face in leading male dominated society of a developing country?
Okay. Um, You are right in saying the sector I belong. I belong to the STEM sector, that's
Mm,
technology and all that. And that area is one that we seem to have more of men, playing out in that space, than women. I've seen that over and over again. But so much has been said about taking responsibility for your
mm,
personal growth, and development. So when you take responsibility for your personal growth and development, even as a tech person, even as somebody in the technology sector, by the time the opportunities come and all the cards are put on the table, it will be a bit difficult to discriminate against you because of
mm,
your sex. Okay, I've been in a training before. We were 16. I was the only female. A training outside the country, rigorous selection process. But at the end of the day, with all the years, I was the only female that made it, to be part of that team. And when I got there, for me, I don't look at myself as a woman when it comes to job. The important thing is that there's a work to be done. It's my brain I'm going to use to do the job. It's not by my gender. So that's another thing I think we need to consider. So you be intentional about your growth and let it be so clear and outstanding that when that time comes for those roles to be occupied, when they look at the what you are bringing forward, sometimes it will be unanimous to say that this is the person that is most
mm.
qualified for the job.
I completely agree. Excellence, competence always shines through. No matter what the biases are, no matter what all the policies are, when it comes to doing the job in the workplace, there will always be need for people who can do the job and do it excellently. So position yourself as someone who can do the job and it will be yours. And yes, there may be challenges, from a personal perspective, but I think if you keep showing up excellently, you will keep leading. And in spite of whether they are men or they are women, I too work in a male dominated environment, and I find that the men respect you when you're able to, deliver consistently. And the thing is, I find that even when they find women who can deliver consistently, the respect is actually a bit more because they know the challenges you are working against. So please, let's all not be dissuaded. Let's keep pushing. Okay, Halima, I think I would ask you this question. This is from Chisom Okoye on
Mhm.
YouTube. How can women overcome what is sort of benevolent, benevolent patriarchy? So basically, where they are saying the men are saying, well, just take this thing, a form of tokenism, where it seems that women are being done a favor when certain positions are reserved for them. So, for example, some deputy positions are willingly given to women. Meanwhile, they're not leading positions. They're just like, quota system.
Okay, so for that, I'll say first of all, you must challenge the narrative. You must create your own story, and you
Mm,
must be the one, the advocate for your own story. Even if you're giving the position of deputy, as Dr. Tina said earlier, and I think I emphasized earlier, your work shows for you what you have been doing. You must have allies, not just female allies. You have men that are, I call them the he for she's,
mm,
those allies that sit on that table with you. You must not, you can't just sit down in your little corner and think leadership is that. You must network. You must be on that table and they must feel your impact on that table. You're redefining things, not following the stereotypes of what a woman should be. Even if you're giving a deputy, as I say again, your work will show for you, your talent will show what you are capable of doing. So don't think
mm,
because I've been given a deputy is a token role. You know you're not a token person, even if you have been given a token role. So show yourself and make them know that this is me, this is who I am, and I'm defining what you think about this position and what you think about me. So
mm,
mine is it's just a very brief thing like that. Anywhere I find myself, I just put my head down. This is what I want to do. I do not, I was taught that there is no impossible. Make it possible. Make it happen for
mm,
yourselves. There's a time. people were going for awards, I saw the way a man actually wrote about himself, and I was thinking, is it the same person that I know? So we must learn to write our own stories, and we must learn to tell our own stories.
Hmm. I love it. So, in other words, the ball is in your court. Even if you're given a
Exactly.
token role, make it a juicy one. I had a boss who used to say that even if he's sent to the gate man's house to work, he will do that job so well that everybody will want to work in the gate man's house. And so I think
Exactly.
that's the attitude that we should bring to this work. There's no such thing as a token role. There is only such thing as somebody who is just filling the box. So I think in the end, it all boils down to you. If you think a role is a token role and you act as if it's a token role, then that's up to you. But if you take what is seemingly a token role and you make it an excellent position, then people will want, next time they will say, oh my goodness, I think it's time to give this back to the men. But they're going to say, no, I think it's more suited for the women. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Halima. Okay, I can't seem to see any more questions. I will give about 30 seconds. Anybody else who has questions should please put them in the chat. But in the meantime, I want our panelists to, you know, reflect on this question I'm about to ask them, because you're going to spend 2 minutes each giving us closing remarks. And the question is, what guidance would you offer to help women navigate their journey and potentially, okay, let me start it again. So as we're concluding this, right, I'd like to ask each panelist to share some advice, especially to those women who are considering or just beginning their careers in the public service, right? What guidance would you offer to help them navigate their journey and potentially help them reach leadership positions? So I want you ladies to think about it for a minute. I will start with Dr. Tina, then Rashida, then Halima, and then Oyebola. And so 30 seconds and I'll start those round of closing remarks. I hope everyone has enjoyed this session today. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. It's been a pleasure, having conversations with women like myself who are excellent in everything they do. And as you can see, are very knowledgeable, very vast. And I think we should have more of such sessions. So, Dr. Tina, what advice would you give to the up and coming public service woman or civil service woman, as the case may be?
Yeah, by way of advice, I will just highlight a bit more on what I said earlier on about responsibility, for growth and development. And that means that whenever any assignment is given to you, give it your very best shot. I usually say, put your signature on it, not technically
Hmm.
as put sign in, but put your signature on it so that in times to come, even you, when you review that work, you will be proud that this is what I brought forward. Now, why that is important is that many people start their career as let's just do it, mark time and all, forgetting that it's the cumulative things that you've done over the years
Hmm.
that are going to speak when it is time for that role at the top. So if you have been casual about what assignments you are given to do from the very beginning, it's going to be difficult when it is now time for leadership positions to try and do a get cash program, at the end of the day. But if you have been very consistent, and I usually say it's not so much about competing with another person, it's competing with yourself. In other words, I must be better than the person I was yesterday. I'm competing with myself, not necessarily competing with another person. And in competing with myself, I'm putting the best forward. When the opportunity now comes to compete with others, the excellence of over the years, will now speak at that time. So I would advise them that from the very beginning, work with the intention that your goal is to be at the top. And when you work with that intentionality, you will do your job in such a way that excellence becomes your
Hmm.
hallmark. And like I usually say, I've seen that over and over again, that by the time they put everybody's card on the table, people will almost be unanimous to say this is the best person for the job because you have left a trail, over
Mm.
time. Thank you.
Fantastic response. You know, I think to summarize it, we can say start with the end in mind. If you want to end up in leadership
Yeah.
roles, then start as a leader. Be consistent in your excellence. You know, someone gave me that advice when I started working as a young public servant. And what I ended up doing was I told myself every year, preferably every 6 months, there must be something significant that I would add to my CV, either in terms of a milestone that I had achieved, either from work achievement, learning, or life achievement. And I'm very proud to say, after 17 years, I still keep up to that promise to myself. It's not about the other person. Like Dr. Tina said, it's about being better than yourself. How were you 6 months ago, last month, and where are you today? The leadership skill will naturally come out when the time comes. It's about preparedness, meeting opportunity. Okay, so Rashida, over to you. What advice would you give to our up and coming public and civil servants?
Yes, I want to totally agree with Dr. Tina. She summed it up very well. When I joined civil service, I never wanted to stay in civil service for a very long time. But the day I made up my mind to stay in civil service, I made up my mind to be a, an outstanding civil servant. I promised to myself to be outstanding. So for those young women just joining the civil service, it's about your mindset. What are
Right.
you going in there to do? So, like she said, you start from the beginning with the end in mind. It's not when you now get to the deputy director's level, assistant director level, you're now struggling to lead. It's from the beginning. You start your self-development journey from the beginning. Like you have said, highlight what you want to achieve when you're in service. All the orders you want to face, you want to surmount, all the goals you want to achieve. Write them down and start as you achieve them, please learn to celebrate yourself. Look at see them as achievements, not just
Mm,
something that is just luck. See that you have worked to achieve it, not that you
mm,
are just fortunate
mm,
to achieve it.
mm,
So before you need to work diligently, you need to be intentional about your growth in service. You need to look at where you are going to and work towards it intentionally. You need to like you said, opportunity meets competence. You must build your competence as you grow. Compete with yourself, not with anybody. Learn to be a team player. Learn to collaborate. Learn from the best hand. And one thing I've learned, don't criticize your leaders. Rather, study them. Look at what you think they are doing wrong and ask yourself, if I'm in that position, how will I do it better?
yeah.
Also, try to be a good subordinate to your superior. Try to, in a subtle manner, give them ideas that you think can move your department or your unit forward. Then, when you get there, you always get somebody who will do the same to you. If you think you are very brilliant, all you can do is to bring your brilliancy to the table and help with whatever task or schedule you are doing. Not showing off, but I know it. But be a good team player. So when it's your turn, somebody is also helping you because you can't do it alone. No matter how much you do in civil service, you need to work with other people. Your leadership style must be the one that encourages other people, that embraces other people's idea. So as you are starting your journey in civil service, start with the end in mind, with a very good mindset to achieve the end from the beginning. So that way
Mm,
it's very easy for you to feel when you get to leadership position.
mm. Thank you very much, Rashida. Very well said. A good leader was once an excellent follower. So, if you want to be a leader, start by being a great follower. And that, I think, will summarize everything Rashida has said. Have the right mindset, be intentional, and just be a good team player. Thank you so much, Rashida. Halima, what advice do you have for the up and coming civil and public servants?
Okay, so riding on what Dr. Tina and Rashida have said, I think what I will add is it is essential for you to believe in your worth. Notice I
Mm,
didn't say know your worth,
mm,
believe in the worth that you have. Also, you must embrace continuous learning, build those competencies and confidence so that when you're given a seat at that table, they would know that you are there. Also, seeking intentional mentorships. Send that DM to somebody you think this person is somebody I think I could gain for. You don't need just one mentor. You might have a few that you have for different things for your career. Also, build a strong network. Your network takes you far because sometimes it's a word of mouth. Sometimes, oh, I know this thing is going on here. So build a strong network that will not just give you those connections, but will also guide and support you throughout your career. Cultivate resilience to overcome challenges that will occur. You must be resilient.
mm,
Sometimes those challenges will bring you down, but wake up the next morning, start again, re strategize, and go for
mm,
it. Also, adapt to changes and always advocate for yourself and other women so that you are creating pathways for more women to thrive in leadership roles. And lastly, I would say again, leadership is not just about titles. It's about making a positive change that would impact society at large and also leave a legacy of change. Step into your leadership role with courage, purpose, authenticity, and also passion, because your passion will get you a lot of places.
mm.
So for me, basically, that's just it for me.
Yeah.
From me,
Thank you
thank you.
so much, Halima. You said so much. I really loved a lot of what you said. The one I took the most out of was believe, not know, but believe in your work. So you might know it but not believe in it. And today we're telling you believe it. Believe that yes, you are indeed valuable. You bring something to the table. Seek knowledge, also be resilient because there will always be challenges. There will always be things that will stop you in your tracks. But you pick up again the next day and you keep going. Be adaptable. The public service, the civil service is full of changes on a day to day basis. If you're not someone who's flexible and adaptable, you will not be able to cope and thrive. And also advocate not only for yourself, but for your fellow women. Thank you so much, Halima. I really do appreciate this. Oyebola, I hope you're still with us. If
Yes,
you
I'm still
are, please
here.
can you give your own
Yeah, so
advice as well?
just to add to the learnings from Dr. Tina, Rashidat, and Halima. So for me, I'd like to say that there's a common saying that where purpose is not defined, abuse is inevitable. So before you go into the service, you need to ask yourself, why am I going into the service? This is a very important question. When I was going into the service, as a matter of fact, I didn't even want to go to the service because I served there and I didn't like what I saw. So I actually didn't want to work in the service. But eventually, when I got into the service, I had a mindset that I didn't want to be just another in the role call of civil servant. I wanted to come and make a difference. So I had credit to told myself that whatever is for me, one of my philosophy of life is that whatever is worth doing is worth doing well, whether it is in the civil service or in the private sector. So when I came in, I was that person who I didn't when I came in, I didn't have the opportunity of a work schedule, but I would show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I would whatever they were doing. I was curious. I wanted to many times I was sent on assignments that ordinarily were not supposed to be my schedule, but because I was on ground, if there was an 8 o'clock assignment, I would be there. Trust me, many of my colleagues will come in much later. By then I had already gone out. And people are watching. You don't know, people are watching. It's those little things that we need to be to develop emotional intelligence as a woman in the public sector. You must learn to understand yourself, understand your boss, not in a condescending manner, no, but so as able to to use your knowledge of his emotion to relate with him. I remember that I once had a boss who was quite high-handed and and I would go to report him to my director that he did it. My director would say to me that, Oyebola, you need to learn to manage your boss. And so I began to learn how to manage him. I began to know what and know the things that triggered him. And I found out that when you communicate respectfully to a reasonable extent, you have very little altercations with your superiors. And then as a career person in civil service, you must learn to stay adaptable and flexible. Be open to new experiences. Be willing to take calculated risks, and be willing to be flexible. I remember that sometime last year there was a meeting. I wasn't part of the meeting. My job was just because I'm in the PR department where we do news writing. I was only writing a news story out of a meeting, and I saw that there were some follow-up actions. There's some policy statements that needed to be followed up. And I asked my director, "Who is doing this follow-up?" She said she does not know, and I took it upon myself. Nobody sent me that work. I proactively began to follow up with the external people, and when what was happening, I was right in the middle of that task. And when an opportunity came for training, I had reports along because I had played a role in facilitating the process. So we can't just afford to be those civil servants who say we can't afford to be time servers, because naturally we already have challenges already. So you have to be exceptional. You have to be impactful for the service. And when you are exceptional, when you are diligent, when you are impactful, when you know your onions, when you know why you're there and you're delivering quality service, you will be looked for. It might take a while, it might take some years, but eventually you'll be looked for. So I think those are some of the points I want to leave with people who want to come into the service, especially our women. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful. I really love that quote. Where purpose is not defined, abuse is inevitable. Now, I want to say to those who found themselves in public service, because it seems to be a typical story where they didn't plan to be there, but they were there. It doesn't mean you cannot also still reestablish why you have remained there. As long as you know your why and you come in
Because I had played a role in facilitating the process. So we can't just afford to be those civil servants who say we can't afford to be time servers, because naturally we already have challenges already. So you have to be exceptional. You have to be impactful for the service. And when you are exceptional, when you are diligent, when you are impactful, when you know your onions, when you know why you're there and you're delivering quality service, you will be looked for. It might take a while, it might take some years, but eventually you'll be looked for. So I think those are some of the points I want to leave with people who want to come into the service, especially our women. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful. I really love that quote. Where purpose is not defined, abuse is inevitable. Now, I want to say to those who found themselves
And when an opportunity came for training, I had reports along because I had played a role in facilitating the process. So we can't just afford to be those civil servants who say we can't afford to be time servers, because naturally we already have challenges already. So you have to be exceptional. You have to be impactful, because naturally we already have challenges already. So you have to be exceptional. Because naturally we already have challenges already. So you have to be exceptional. You have to be impactful the service. And when you are exceptional, when you are diligent, when you are impactful, when you know your onions, when you know why you're there, and you're delivering quality service, you will be looked for. It might take a while, it might take some years, but eventually you'll be looked for. So I think those are some of the points I want to leave with people who want to come into the service, especially our women. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so, so much. That was very insightful. I really loved that quote. Where purpose is not defined, abuse is inevitable. Now, I want to say to those who found themselves in public service, because it seems to be a typical story where they didn't plan to be.
Because naturally, you already said women already have challenges already. So you have to be exceptional. You have to be impactful for the service. And when you are exceptional, when you are diligent, when you are impactful, when you know your onions, when you know why you're there, and you're delivering quality service, you will be looked for. It might take a while, it might take some years, but eventually you'll be looked for. So I think those are some of the points I want to leave with people who want to come into the service, especially our women. Yeah, thank
Cannot also still reestablish why you have remained there as to manage your boss. To manage to manage your boss. And this doesn't give excuse for bad leadership. It just means that as a subordinate, it's in your interest to know how to maneuver situations, to manage people. Because guess what? When you get to that managerial role, that is actually what you're going to do, manage people. So how about you learn it?
Hello, she seems to be. We can't hear
you. Yeah, I
her.
think it's network. I think she has network challenges.
I pray, yeah, I pray she gets back soon because it's critical. She's the moderator, so it's critical for her to get back. I hope she's not even been knocked off completely.
Yeah, I think she's out now.
Wow, wow, wow.
She's no longer
Is she back?
Okay, apologies for that,
Okay, she's
everyone.
back. She's
It's
back.
the part of the world we're
She's back.
in. So my network flipped for a bit, but I want to say we've come to the very end of our program, and I want to say a very big thank you to these amazing ladies. Please, if you are on whatever platform you are watching, whether LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, please send fantastic comments and thank yous and emojis to recognize these ladies while I give the closing remarks. So thank you for all those powerful thoughts to my fellow panelists. Today's discussion has highlighted both the obstacles women face in public service and in public. But I want to say we've come to the very end of our program, and I want to say a very big thank you to these amazing ladies. Please, if you are on whatever platform you are watching, whether LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, please send fantastic comments and thank yous and emojis to recognize these ladies while I give the closing remarks. So thank you for all those powerful thoughts to my fellow panelists. Today's discussion has highlighted both the obstacles women face in public service and in public service leadership. Oh, you can't hear me. Okay, yes, I guess you can hear me. So thank you for those powerful closing thoughts. Today's discussion has highlighted the obstacles women face in public service leadership, and the transformative impact that we can have when those barriers are overcome. Women leaders across the Nigerian public service have driven significant improvements in so many areas, from revolutionizing revenue administration and taxation systems to strengthening healthcare and delivery networks to advancing educational policy, championing environmental sustainability, improving social welfare programs, and promoting transparency and accountability in governance. And so, to she whom much is given, much more is expected. We have so many women who have raised the bar, and we are asking you ladies to please keep the torch burning, keep raising the bar. Let us come back here in a few months, in a few years, with another group of excellent women who are showcasing their excellence to the women coming. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful evening. Have a blessed evening. Have a blessed afternoon or a blessed morning wherever you're watching this from. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much for having me.
This
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
was
thank
very
you.
insightful and
Thank you.
interesting.
Thank
Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
Thank
you, the
you.
moderator.
right.
Thank you, Dr. Tina. Thank you, Rashida,